Assalamu alaikum. My apologies for the technical glitch, and I think some of the slides may not come out as well as they should have, but inshallah the message will still come across. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And may Allah bless you all on this very special celebration of the birth of Imam Hussein, Imam Sajjad, and Hadrat Abbas alayhimus salam. Each year, on the 3rd of Sha'ban celebration, I'm happy to be able to share with the entire community a report about the development of Unity Academy. My brother actually suggested that we could call this a State of the Unity Address. This year is especially significant because we're coming close to celebrating 5 years since the founding of our school on August 2021. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Last year, I had the privilege of describing to you all the philosophy of the school that inspired, the philosophy of education that inspired our school, and also I tried to present some glimpses of the Montessori approach to teaching and learning. In this year's presentation, I'll focus on a slightly different issue. The questions I'd like to answer are: how well are we preparing children for life beyond unity? How well are we preparing children for high school and college? And finally, is a Montessori education academically rigorous? You're all not present in our school when a child puts his hand in mine. You're not present in the school when one child reads to a younger child. And you're not present in a school when a child gets the courage to present their research on Mexico. So today, what I'd like to do is share with you the outside indicators that might help you to understand how our students and our school are performing. In this graph, you can see the growth of Unity Academy since 2021. Each year, we have been able to admit an average of 20 new students, and we have grown from a single classroom to 4. In the coming school year, inshallah, we look forward to starting a new middle school adolescent program for students who are 12 to 13 years old. Alhamdulillah, the growth in our student body is one indicator of the trust that parents and the community have placed in us. I mentioned earlier this evening that I will focus on the objective and external ways of knowing about the academic rigor and preparation of Unity Academy. So let's look at some details. AMS, again, apologies for the unusual proportions of the slide, but AMS is the American Montessori Society. It's a professional body of educators that trains and recognizes high-quality Montessori schools throughout our country. They've established a pathway which helps schools and guides them towards excellence and finally to accreditation. By the end of this month, inshallah, we hope to reach stage 2, which means that our school will become a verified American Montessori Society school. And what this means in particular is that verification requires 5 elements, 5 core components. The first of which is that our teachers should be trained and have the proper Montessori credential. Sister Shaheen, Sister Fatima in our primary classrooms, Sister Sayeda in our upper elementary classroom, Sister Seher in our lower elementary classroom, Sister Nida in our lower elementary classroom, Sister Sabah Heather, our curriculum director, and myself. All of these key individuals in our school, the lead teachers, the curriculum director and head of school, all of us have completed this 2 to 3 year course, which earns us a credential to teach Montessori according to the standards of the American Montessori Society. So this is the first of those 5 core components. The second of the core components is that every classroom must have children of multiple ages. So in our primary classroom, those of you who are familiar with our school, we have children who are 3, 4, and 5 years old. In our lower elementary classroom, we have children who are 6, 7, and 8 years old. In our upper elementary, 9, 10, and 11. And all of these multi-age classrooms bring about the benefit of children being able to share their expertise, elder children setting an example for younger children presenting questions and challenges for the elder children to respond to. The third core component of the American Montessori Society is that every classroom has to have a detailed list of prescribed Montessori materials. And in this, the children continually work to build their fine motor skills. They do every kind of activity from practical life to the academic subjects that we'll see in more detail shortly. The fourth core component of the American Montessori Society's verified school is that the work in the classroom must be child-directed. In a Montessori school, the teacher is not on the stage, rather the children conduct their work. They have freedom with discipline. During the entire work period, children will take a work, they will sit on a rug, they'll complete that activity and work, and then they'll place it back in its proper place. And in all of these areas, here we can see a photograph of Abbas and Aveen having taken their work, working together, making the choice of which partner they would like to work with and help, and then taking their knowledge from that practical experience. And the final element, the final of the five core components, is the uninterrupted work period. In a Montessori classroom, between 2 to 3 hours of time is given for the children's work each day. And uninterrupted means that the children must be given the space and the quiet and the calm environment without a teacher or any other kind of interruption in which somebody is conducting a class as a whole. Rather, the children work independently or in small groups. And here we see Noura Hamzai working very intently on a cutting activity in her primary classroom without any interruption and enjoying it very much, mashallah. So I've spoken so far about the requirements of a Montessori school. What are the external criteria that we're fulfilling? And taking that a little bit further, this is a page from the Transparent Classroom, which is a software that we use to report to parents and to record the children's progress in their Montessori learning journey. And you can see the main idea. There's a great deal of text here, but the main idea here is that every single learning activity, every skill, every concept is in detail listed in Transparent Classroom for parents to see. And that means that it's an entirely standard set of concepts and skills that our school delivers to children, and we report to the parents what the children have been able to accomplish throughout their experience in our school. And finally, so far I was speaking about the American Montessori Society. There is another organization which has helped us to do a very important task, which is to make sure that we are connecting the Montessori learning with the Common Core state standards or the Illinois State Board of Education's requirements. It's not a given that Montessori learning will always meet state requirements, but this is something that we want to ensure. And so we've spent the last year and a half, and in our primary classroom, we have ensured that every single lesson in the Montessori program corresponds to the lessons that are required, to the concepts and skills that are required in the Common Core state standards, which you will find in all Illinois state and public schools. And this entire correspondence ensures that no child in a Montessori school, in our Montessori school, is missing anything that they would normally have learned in a public school. In fact, they go far beyond. And the next stage of this is to make sure that our lower elementary and upper elementary curricula are also fulfilling all of those requirements, filling any gaps that may possibly be in that curriculum. So far, we've focused on the Montessori aspect and making sure that we meet external standards beyond our school, to show that we have true fidelity to the Montessori vision. But let's turn to the actual academics, the outcomes of the children in our school, and look at the level of rigor and the level of achievement of children who have come through the programs, because now we have completed 5 years and we have the benefit of 3 years of standardized test reports. I'd like to share with you the results of our oldest group of children, the children who are now in our 6th grade or the final year of the upper elementary. And this is just a brief indication of the results of their standardized test scores as a group. The graph shows you their performance last year, the year before, and the year before that. So 3 years of data in all of the academic subjects that we would like children to make sure that they have achieved and that they're prepared for high school and college. So in the English and language arts, the children of our present grade 6 you can see from the graph that they have a grade equivalent. When they were in 3rd grade, they have a grade equivalent of being in 6th grade. In the following year, when they were in 4th grade, they had a grade equivalent of being in 8th grade. And finally, in their 5th year, when they took this exam, they showed a grade equivalency in English and Language Arts of a child who's in the 10th grade. This graph shows the grade. So the gray line shows you the national norms of the Iowa exams. The black line shows you our children's performance, and you can see that there's almost a 1.5 to 2 year advanced status of the children in our 6th grade, and alhamdulillah, it's accelerating. In mathematics, we see a similar case in which the children are 1.5 to 2 years advanced compared to the national norms, and if you can see the last year, it's also accelerating compared to them. Our social studies and science, likewise, and you can see that in our science, the final year, the 5th grade, when the children took the exam, they compare to a child of the 11th grade having taken that exam and achieved the same score. So standardized tests help us to make sure that our children are meeting these standards. We can understand the level of it. This is only a sample. Every child is different. Every group of children is different. And I'm not able to present all the details, but the point is to emphasize that our oldest group of children who have been with us and have taken the exam for 3 years consecutively, alhamdulillah, are showing this kind of progress. I'd like to present a little problem. We have many children in the audience, and I'm going to give them a little challenge. Another way to check our children's level of academic achievement is that they not only do well on the Iowa tests, but they also have daily homework. In the lower elementary and upper elementary, children take advantage of iExcel, which is a commonly used platform for children to do their practice. And I'd like you all, the children in the audience, to have a look at this. If you raise your hand, I'll bring you a whiteboard and we'll quickly do a check on your math. This is 4th grade question. And let's see how you do. Okay, I need a couple of bold volunteers. I'll go with the boys again because you're close by to me. All right, well done. The question's on the board. All right, Shane is the manager of an amusement park. During the first week of summer, 2,308 visitors came to the park. During the second week, 3,089 more visitors came than during the first week. So how many visitors came during the first 2 weeks of summer? I'm going to let you all keep working on that. And others of you are welcome to also try. So iExcel, whoops, excuse me, they didn't see that, I don't think. So iExcel is a platform, it's graded. So that means that every single question, if children are attempting questions of the 4th grade, that means that they meet the standards of the 4th grade as expected by national norms, by state standards, and it is entirely in correspondence with the Common Core state standards that are in place in many parts of the world, of the United States. I'll skip this other question while they're working on this one, and we'll come back to the answer. I want to share, alhamdulillah, some news that we just got last week, and it comes from the American Mathematics Olympiad. This is an international competition. It's done in conjunction with the Singapore Institute of Mathematical Contests, and children from all over the world take this exam. This year, our children took part for the first time, and it is open for children from elementary to high school. And we had results declared. We haven't received the medals, but we have the results overall. And alhamdulillah, you can see that our children at Unity Academy, in the first time attempting this exam, earned 2 gold medals, 6 silver medals, and 5 bronze medals. This has been a great experience. We had 20 children altogether sign up, and out of them, this number has achieved this kind of distinction. Our 2 children who were attempting that last question, did you all come up with an answer? Did you get that answer? No? What did you get?
I got 5,000 something because I didn't see 3,000 more than the first week.
Okay. No problem, but he attempted it and he gets an apple because we are a Montessori school, so no chocolate and sweets, but lots of fruits. Very close. Good attempt. Thank you so much, Jafar. All right, salawat for the 2 boys who gave an attempt. So all of these skills, these academic skills, the rigor that I'm speaking about, it comes from the kind of work, the nature of the engagement of the children in the classroom environment. Here you can see Thaim and Ali Abid working with materials on mathematics concepts. It is, as you can see, those were beads. They're using concrete materials. And in the elementary program, children progress. They take concrete materials, develop the understanding of the concept, and then abstract it very quickly. And here you can see one of our upper elementary children, Fatima, working on something that's quite advanced and challenging. And you can see the transition happening. She's working with materials, the pegboard, to work on a trinomial square. And you can also see her written work, which gives her a solid foundation to understand future concepts and practices in algebra. This is the basis for the performance of our children in that math exam, alhamdulillah. Besides math, reading is a very core academic skill, and in the past 2 years, I had announced one of the outcomes of the Battle of the Books, and inshallah we are well on the way. I don't want to make any predictions, but the last year, 2 years back, we earned the second place, and last year we earned first place in the Battle of the Books, which is a contest among schools connected to the libraries of the area, and in which children read books throughout the year, and then they take part in quiz competitions demonstrating their understanding of those books and novels. So a salawat for our children who have performed in first place in that competition. Finally, I would like to conclude by looking at one other aspect of how we know that we are academically rigorous and that our children are meeting the standards that are expected of children of their age. One of the doubts or one of the challenges is that our children are protected. They are in a very safe environment. They're in an Islamic environment in our school. And when they leave Unity Academy, they would face different social, academic, and other challenges when they enter a public school or university. And there is often a concern that the children are in a bubble and they're not ready to deal with life when they get outside. So I'd like to share a couple of steps. Our children are still in the elementary ages. We have up to grade 6. And so the steps that we are taking to help them understand and start to work with life and challenges of life beyond the safe environment of Unity Academy. I'd like to share briefly one of the books that the children read in Battle of the Books. They read so much literature in their course as well. But as an example of the exposure children get in our safe environment, there's literature such as this. These are, first of all, you must understand that we're talking about elementary children reading chapter books, challenging works of literature, classics in their classroom, and then in Battle of the Books, books like this one. This is a very touching story, a novel about a child named Hank Hooperman who is, his mother is in rehab, and because of that she's not able to take care of him, and he's being cared for by one person after the other, until finally his neighbor Ray takes him in and as a foster parent raises Hank and his sister Abu. The point is that through this literature, children are being exposed to things that they don't normally come across in our sheltered and positive environment at Unity Academy. Through works of literature, they, along with their parents, work through these issues, these real-life issues that children will face, different ethnic communities, European Americans, and others, to understand their culture and way of life. And this is one of the steps that we're taking to help them come to terms with life outside of our safe bubble. Another is that we have been trying to make connections with community organizations. Across our street is the Takamatsu Martial Arts Institute, and this year, as one of our clubs, we invited them to come and conduct kickboxing, which has really taken off, and the children, they already love to wrestle with each other, and now they have a structured way to do it. So George Takamatsu is of Japanese heritage. He's founded an institute across the street, and he comes to our school twice a week to train our children in kickboxing. And as always, there's so many humorous interactions, but one of our children, when they first met him, they asked him, "Are you Muslim?" And this is the kind of interaction I think children need to get out of the bubble. They need to understand that there are people different who are not all named Ahmed and Fatima, and how do they interact with them, and how do they learn from them and understand their culture and way of life. And finally, we have recently made interactions with Burhan Academy, which is located in Elgin. Coach Cliff Paul is the head of the the head of the athletic department at Burhan Academy, and his team of coaches have been working with our children for sports, and we're hoping to develop inter-school competitions in the coming weeks so that our children will go to Burhan Academy, take advantage of their facilities, and play with the children of Burhan Academy. And this is also an exposure for our children to meet African American coaches, to hear many of them coming from the city of Chicago, their way of speaking and their way of interacting, some of them Muslim, some non-Muslim. But this is a very valuable interaction in a safe environment for them to interact, and then also with the children of Burhan Academy, so that these children do see what life will be like after Unity Academy. In conclusion, I've shared with you mostly the objective and external indicators of quality, or external indicators of academic rigor. But in the end, when you come to Unity Academy, you will not just see those things. In fact, you'll see much more, because as a holistic school, an Islamic Montessori school, the most important work that's happening is the nurturing of the souls of our children. It is what happens when teachers set high standards and expectations and role model what it means to be a good Muslim. And when one child helps another open their lunchbox, and when one child makes sure that another child is not bullied and speaks up for them. In all of these ways, we are hoping that our children will be very well prepared, if not beyond the norms of academic preparation for high school and college. And I conclude by asking for your du'as for the growth and the success of this very important project that our entire community has undertaken, and our gratitude to our board, to Maulana Faizi, for undertaking this project from the very beginning. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Salut.